Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Perfect World based on novel. So let's start. Lan Meng left behind an indistinct shadow in his original location, and like a mirage, directly disappeared, and then suddenly reappeared before Shahao's eyes. He lifted his right hand that was shining with incomparable brilliance, forming a great golden millstone. This was a pure gold hand, a glorious and well-known precious technique. The power was so great that the void began to rumble with noise, this entire region starting to tremble violently. Even though they knew that Lan Meng definitely wasn't Huang's opponent, when they saw this scene, they were still a bit shocked. This person's fist was too domineering. This type of power was too terrifying. If others went up, they would definitely be beaten up into ashes. That great golden millstone had many bone texts on its surface, complex to the extreme. Lan Meng sneered. The pure gold hand was extremely mysterious, something he had previously used when exchanging pointers with Jin Yi, at that time blasting her until she coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. He believed that this youth was stronger than Jin Yi, but there was no way he could be that much stronger. After all, he couldn't be 10 Crown King, exiled immortal, and people like these. So he shouldn't have any heaven-defying methods. However, he was destined for despair. Of course, during this process, he still didn't realize it, because he only saw Shahao indifferently raise his palm to slap him. Acting so carefree, yet you still want to defeat me. He laughed coldly, feeling like Shahao was courting death. Lan Meng released a light shout, his large golden millstone palm becoming even more resplendent, the symbols immediately increasing in number several times. He was going to decide victory and defeat with a single blow, display his prowess here. As a result, he forcefully increased his strength, not hesitating to activate his potential, using up a bit of innate spiritual essence. He was rather careful though, after all, Jin Yi was defeated, so he didn't think this person was simple, so he showed no mercy with this palm. Hong! A powerful blow sounded, golden light flying in all directions, accompanied by a muffled groan. A figure with blood flowing out from his mouth and nose flew outwards. Wang Yong, who was watching over this place in the rear, originally had a calm expression, eyes deep, but now, the corners of his mouth twitched, feeling pain in Lan Meng's place. It was because Lan Meng was directly sent flying by a large earthen hand, as if a housefly had been smacked, the great power making one shiver inwardly. Ah! Lan Meng released a loud cry, smashing into a distant mountain peak. Rocks flew into the skies, grass and plants a mess, smoke and dust surging. His entire body was in great pain, his bone framework about to scatter. He was a bit stupefied. What was going on? He felt as if an archaic barbaric bull charged straight into him, making all of his bones groan, unknown just how many were broken. Apart from his chest caved in, his organs damaged, every inch of his body in pain, blood flowing outwards. This was just too ridiculous. Even if an archaic barbaric bull smashed into him, it still wouldn't produce this type of result, right? He felt as if he had been trampled on by an archaic demonic elephant. The others were stupefied as well. It wasn't that they didn't know how strong Shahao was, but after seeing this scene, they were still greatly alarmed. That was Lan Meng, an extremely powerful cultivator. He used a powerful precious technique, rushing forward boldly, his entire body vigorous with power, yet he was slapped flying from a single strike just like that. Forget about Lan Meng being stupefied, everyone else also became speechless when they saw this. Ah! Lan Meng released a loud shout, his body surging with blood energy, flames raging about. He stood up from a pile of rubble, his aura becoming even more powerful. He wasn't just a mediocre cultivator after all. Like a phoenix reborn from flames, all of his body's bones released loud noises, quickly connecting, displaying power at the peak of the heavenly deity level, his flesh being reformed. At this cultivation realm, one could naturally regenerate broken limbs, let alone his situation that wasn't even that serious. Who are you? I underestimated you, this matter isn't finished. Lan Meng's eyes even became red. In his surroundings, 10 great heavenly passages appeared, every single one of them carrying a sleeping nascent spirit that was wrapped in a cocoon, waiting for the time to break out. This was a combination of the heavenly passage realm and the spiritual transformation realm, what he was doing to transcend above on this path. Shahao was shocked. This individual did have some ideas, making him reveal a surprised expression, starting to become serious. Kill. Lan Meng released a short shout, using his own trump card. Being humiliated like this in front of everyone put him in an extremely embarrassing situation. He didn't hesitate to use his own vitality to take action. The 10 heavenly passages appeared, those nascent spirits flying out, those cocoons breaking apart, releasing brilliant radiance from within. Then, all of the cocoon erupted, 10 nascent spirits emerging, opening their eyes, every one of them having dignified and imposing appearances. They were like the divine statues consecrated in ancient temples, divine and majestic. Hong. The instant these divine images opened their eyes, it was as if electricity shot out from their eyes, the radiance incomparably penetrating. At the same time, they formed magical imprints, blasting murderously at Shahao. Power of sacrifice. Shahao was startled. He could feel a type of sinister power. The 10 nascent spirits Lan Meng produced were a bit strange, as if this was a type of summoning method, awakening some ancient existences from heaven and earth, borrowing these nascent spirits to appear in this world. You can just go to hell now. Lan Meng shouted. The immortal energy he cultivated was also activated, winding together with the 10 nascent spirits, as if he was giving them an offering, making them more and more solemn and dignified. The strength was astonishing. The 10 great nascent spirits displayed a strange and mysterious power, this force gathered from the void, the spirits arriving from the other end of the world. It was as if there really were 10 great divine sect ancestors, all of them reviving at this moment. Shahao released a cold snort. He stood there, not moving at all. 3 great Dao flowers appeared above his head, blossoming there, moreover releasing an ancient scripture sound. Dao to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. This was one of the most simple and an ancient true meanings, and right now, it was fully displayed. 3 great Dao flowers moved about, shining brilliantly, 3 to all things, natural laws gushing out, divine chains of order interweaving. In that instant, divine light seemed to flood this place, immortal mists sweeping about, dazzling multicolored light pouring down, immediately sweeping through the 10 nascent spirits. Ah! Lan Meng released a miserable scream. This time, it was just too disastrous. He used the most powerful methods, believing he could suppress that youth, never expecting that his 10 great nascent spirits would be completely destroyed, his 10 heavenly passages also starting to crack, almost exploding. Peng! Lan Meng flew outwards, and during this process, 3 heavenly passages exploded one after the other, divine multicolored light soaring. The scene was horrifying. His complexion was pale, unable to stand again. These injuries were just too serious. If he wanted to reconstruct the heavenly passages, the difficulty was too great. Right now, he almost felt like he would rather be dead than alive. It seems like you won't be able to bring the immortal gold arrow away. Jinyi said, somewhat taking joy in his disaster. She naturally knew that the other party took action precisely out of greed over the great treasure, not to help her at all. Lan Meng long spat out who knew how much blood, but now, another WA sounded, continuously coughing out several mouthfuls, completely infuriated by Jinyi. This woman was too vicious, actually daring to trap him. 3 great Dao flowers appeared above the youth's head. This was a young supreme being. How could Lan Meng be his opponent? There was no way unless he entered Sacred Academy and transcended above. Meanwhile, Jinyi actually didn't tell him, instead inciting and encouraging him to seize the immortal gold arrow. Lan Meng felt like he was a clown, actually challenging a supreme being with 3 strands of immortal energy. You vile woman! Lan Meng berated Jinyi. It was you yourself who was too greedy. Jinyi laughed coldly. Also you, what do you want to do? Shahao spoke, walking forward, blocking Wang Yang's path. I am not your opponent. Wang Yang said with a low voice. His upper body was exposed, his muscles winding about his body like small snakes, skin a bronze color, full of strength. This was a somewhat wild-looking man. However now, his head was completely lowered. When facing Shahao, all of his insolent and conceited behavior was restrained, not daring to say much at all anymore. How will we know unless you have a try against me? Didn't you say that this immortal gold arrow has to be left in the 9 heavens? However, the day will come when I will bring it back to the lower realm. Shahao said with a flat tone. Wang Yang's face was extremely ugly. He now truly hated the surrounding crowd a bit. There was actually no one who warned them before, leaving him in this type of extremely bad situation. If you don't use immortal energy, I am willing to fight against you. Finally, Wang Yang said it like this, because he was already forced to this extent. If he didn't take action, what kind of face did he have left? As you please. Shahao directly restrained the 3 strands of immortal energy, and then walked forward with large steps. When Wang Yang saw this, his eyes erupted with cold lightning, carrying a type of unruliness, as well as a type of madness. His body surged with an aura, as if floodgates were crashed through, as if a true dragon was emerging from the abyss. In that instant, the utmost young aura covered heaven and earth, the void about to be melted, the surrounding mountain rocks long turned into magma, the aura just too frightening. Even Shahao was a bit shocked. This person's blood energy was vigorous after all, ridiculously powerful. Even though it couldn't compare to him, it was still extremely astonishing. This was completely produced by Wang Yang's blood energy. He brandished his arms, forming magical imprints, rushing murderously at Shahao. Shahao stood there without moving. A screen of light appeared around his body. That was the single heavenly passage, silent and still. He stood there, allowing Wang Yang to charge at him like a mad beast. The heavens shook and earth moved, the endless magical imprints, precious techniques, and countless bone texts interweaved, smashing down towards Shahao, but he was perfectly unharmed. It truly was innately invincible, protection against all methods. The single heavenly passage couldn't be broken through, difficult to penetrate. The corners of Wang Yang's mouth twitched. He opened his mouth, his face full of bitterness. Then, with a hong sound, he was blasted flying. The single heavenly passage shone, bright and resplendent. He received serious injuries, that single heavenly passage breaking many of his bones. In that instant, regardless of whether it was Wang Yang of Lan Meng, they both knew who this was, feeling great bitterness inside. They were trapped truly miserably this time, truly wishing they could kill Jin Yi. The two of them were just too sullen. Everything they did just now was like a huge joke. How could they challenge this person? This was just seeking death. This person, who was even banished by Supreme Being Yuan Qing to Origin Ancient Mind, didn't die. How could they then defeat him? Only, who would have expected him to come alive, moreover right here? The two of them were full of resentment. I want to know, that person from Immortal Battlefield, was that you? Wang Yang was unwilling to accept this situation, asking this. He possessed a beast-like keenness, noticing something. Correct. Shahao nodded, acknowledging his words here. The one at Wang Shi's side was you. Wang Yang couldn't help but cry out. Correct. Shahao gave a conclusive reply. At this moment, forget about Wang Yang, even Lan Meng, Yuan Ting, Jin Yi, and the others were stupefied. They immediately woke up, fully understanding. If he wasn't Huang, then who else could he be? Killing the 3-headed king, cutting down the void beast, these were all true, all done by Huang. Someone shouted. Previously, many people had their doubts, not really believing that it was Wang Shi's follower who did this, but now, they all understood. This person was Huang, he had that type of strength. Moreover, in the end, he even had a falling out with the Wang family, not fearing them at all. Many people were shocked, fully understanding now. They couldn't help but be shocked. This freakishly powerful fella had entered the academy a long time ago. Huang came. The news immediately swept through this entire mountain range. All those who weren't cultivating in seclusion heard the news. Those who cultivated present world methods really weren't in the minority, a great commotion erupting in this place. Pine trees towered about, many people coming to Feng Wu's residence, wishing to see what Huang looked like. As for the people who were here before, they were even more so surrounded, everyone asking them what just happened. However, right now, Shahao already disappeared from this place, definitely didn't want to be watched by others like a monkey. He followed Qingyi and Feng Wu to meet some old friends. Waha! You didn't die as expected. This was the little rabbit's brash and unrestrained laughter after coming out of seclusion. She carried that snow-white little Chilean beast, jumping and hopping as she ran out of an ancient cave. She was still like before, a happy-go-lucky person. Her silver hair hung down to her waist, so shiny it could be used as a mirror, her face delicate and fine, large eyes like rubies. Right now, she was cheerful and light-hearted like a little bird. The little Chilean beast in her arms released woo-woo sounds, protesting out of dissatisfaction. The pitiful little immortal beast really was completely mistreated right now. Towards this matter, heavenly deity institutions' elders really felt quite upset and distressed. They had previously called over the lunar jade rabbit several times to talk about this, but she treated this completely like empty air. If not for this little Chilean being extremely clingy, deciding to only follow her, the Academy's elders would have long directly seized it with darkened faces, moreover properly punishing her. This was precisely the reason why the little rabbit's status was somewhat unique, a bit special, no one willing to provoke her. Even after Jinyi and the others knew she went into seclusion, none of them came to disturb her. What? Older sis Feng Wu was bullied. Why didn't you come looking for me? I'll directly smash them to death. The little rabbit glared with her large red eyes, shouting fiercely. This naturally frightened the little Chilean, making it shrink its neck. If she really decided to smack someone, it would definitely be used like a brick again, thrown out. It was like this every time. I just knew that that person was definitely you. The lunar jade rabbit said, staring at Shahao, long suspecting that that person by Wang Shi's side was him, now receiving confirmation. Soon afterwards, the other cultivators from the 3,000 provinces all came out of seclusion, hurrying here, for example, spirit clans Jinjiyu, Firegold clans Tingyi and others. Unfortunately, Cao Yusheng, Chang Gongyang and the others didn't immediately appear, because they entered long-term seclusion. That area was quite safe, however, with elders watching over it. If those who entered that area didn't come out themselves, then outsiders couldn't disturb them. In the end, Shahao headed there to see that elder. Only after discussing with him for a long time were Cao Yusheng and Chang Gongyang called out. Ha, really never thought it would be like this. Even though you were targeted by that old thing Yuan Qing, you still managed to swagger your way over, moreover stir up such a great disturbance. The little fatty Cao Yusheng laughed loudly and said. Even though he had always believed that Shahao was still alive and not dead, when he heard the real details, it was still a bit shocking. The group of people surrounded a bonfire, enjoying wine while chatting, talking about the things that happened during this time. Many of them felt discontent and resentful. It was because there were some cultivators in the 9 heavens above who were acting against them, quite a few people injured because of this, these events truly upsetting. Cao Yusheng shouted with AO sounds, expressing that he was going to get revenge. Others who had just came out from seclusion like Chang Gongyang and Dragon Girl were also resentful, wishing to take action and fight back. There's no need. Shahao already took action just now, instantly subduing 4 great experts. No one else will come looking for trouble. Feng Wu laughed and said. She was the real victim, but she already fully vented her resentment. She didn't want to make things any bigger to avoid the two sides truly opposing each other. The world is about to change greatly, the foreign experts might come slaughtering over at any time. Persisting on the small grudges in the 9 heavens 10 earths truly is a bit unnecessary. Dragon Girl said. Everyone became silent, all of them knowing that the future was terrifying, not many people able to survive through the impending crisis. This topic was just too heavy. Big brother, what happened after you went inside Origin Ancient Mine? How did you break free? Qin Hao also came, a silver armor covering his body. Now, he had grown taller, already matured. Even though he was still preoccupied with some matters, using Shahao as his goal, frantically chasing after him, it already wasn't like before where he was full of prejudice. Of course, at the bottom of his heart, there were still some different emotions. Origin ancient mine, that was a mysterious land. It was too ancient, existing even before immortal ancient great era. Last time, even though Shahao went inside, he didn't reach its end. That place was too mysterious, full of dangers. There was no way he could completely explore it. His greatest gain, during that experience, was the 6 Tao reincarnation's ancient heavenly art inheritance. Shahao selectively explained things, everyone's eyes flickering with radiance when they heard this. Ha. There were quite a few people from the academy who went last time, but several dozen of them were captured by someone in the ancient mine, and then forgotten about. Turns out it was all done by you. Many people roared with laughter. Now that you revealed your identity, those people will know what happened soon, because you were previously sent into the ancient mine by Yuan Qing. A few people revealed smiles. In reality, a great commotion was raised last time. A group of people were turned into captives, and in the end, even though they were lucky enough to break free, it still produced quite the disturbance. In fact, just now, the others here had already mentioned this matter, all realizing who it was that took action back then in Origin Ancient Mine. Yuan Qing, this person is a big problem. Brother Shi, you need to be careful. Chang Gongyang reminded. Everyone knew this even if he didn't mention it. If this person didn't die, he would definitely be a huge threat for Shahao. Back then, he already dared to target Shahao, so once he found out he was still alive, he would likely start plotting things. His descendant Yuan Feng died in immortal battlefield. Don't tell me that was done by you too. The little fatty cow Yusheng said with suspicion. When they heard him say this, the others were all shocked. If this really was the case, then things were much more troublesome. Shahao didn't say anything. Yuan Feng was naturally personally killed by him. Even though he took action with a face others didn't recognize, if one carefully thought about it, the truth couldn't be hidden. It was because he was Huang. If he came out alive, and he previously visited immortal battlefield, just this bit of information was already enough. Everyone knew that there was great enmity between him and Yuan Qing. A young supreme being like him had even killed the three-headed king, so how could he let Yuan Feng go? Not good. Yuan Qing wouldn't take things lying down. I heard that he cared greatly about that descendant. Now that he was killed like this, he will definitely be furious. Feng Wu said with a sigh. He wouldn't dare take action rashly. Shahao said. With the great elder protecting him, he believed that Yuan Qing wouldn't dare act recklessly in the academy. However, he was frowning, feeling a type of worry, because it wasn't as simple as just killing Yuan Feng. He had also killed Feng Xingtian, the Wind clan's young supreme being. It was to the extent where Feng Xingtian's sixth uncle, a powerful great figure, Feng Zhao, also died, because of the Emperor Butterfly in immortal battlefield. These were all great karma. If the Wind clan learned of this, they would definitely go crazy. One could well imagine that Wind clan was already furious. Once they found out Shahao appeared in Heavenly Deity Institution, their eyes would likely become red. Shahao didn't regret his actions. He acted the way he did precisely to make the Wind clan feel distress, intentionally killing Feng Xingtian. It was because the reason why Yuan Qing suppressed him, sending him to Origin Ancient Mind, was due to Wind clan's inciting. Wind clan, this was a huge power, the third most ancient long-life family. Not many people dared oppose them. With the great chaos about to begin, how can there be any internal strife? I believe if those people do not act properly, the great elder and others will definitely take action powerfully, wiping them out in one go. Qing Yi said. Shahao laughed, not continuing this topic, instead turning towards the lunar jade rabbit and asking, what is the deal with the little Chileen? He had many questions. He had previously heard that this Chileen seemed to have some intimacy with Ning Chuan as well. The most important thing was that when Shahao experienced that dream back to Immortal Ancient, he had previously met this little snow-white Chileen. This fella almost betrayed me, but I was still the one with the most charisma, not paying that stupid Ning Chuan who is prettier than a girl any more attention. The little rabbit said with some complaint. There were some who said that Ning Chuan had Chilean blood in him, the bloodline almost tracing back to its ancestors, which was why the little Chilean's attention was captured. There were others who said that Ning Chuan might be a reincarnated white Chilean. However, there was one thing that they were sure of, and that was that Ning Chuan grasped one of the vicious 10, the Chilean's precious technique. Do you recognize me? After releasing a sigh, Chahao looked at the snow-white Chilean young beast. He began to think back to the scenes when he went on a mental journey back to immortal ancients' final days. Those geniuses who were at the prime of their lives withered away prematurely, dying one after another before his eyes. It was just too much of a pity, making his heart feel sore even when he thought about it now. A bit familiar. I seem to have seen you before in a dream. Back then, there was another pure little older sister who carried me, the young Chilean beast transmitted sound. Chahao's nose felt sour, his heart shaken. This little Chilean was the one from back then after all. It didn't reincarnate, but was lucky enough to survive from the past, sealed until now. He still recalled the scene of its past owner smiling helplessly while carrying it, collapsing into a pool of blood, the scene extremely sad and bleak. Chahao's eyes felt sore, saying bitterly, "Who else do you still remember?" There was Phoenix Girl, that young man with the immortal gold sword on his back, and many others, only, my memory is becoming a bit blurry, I really want to cry. The snow-white little Chilean began to weep in grief, the woo-woo sounds extremely emotional. It was extremely sad. Chahao gently caressed it. He wanted to learn about immortal ancients' events through it. I still remember what Without End Great One looks like, vaguely able to recall Six Dao Reincarnation's King's appearance. There's also Great Scarlet Sky Lord, but I was still small back then. After all this time, many things have become blurry. The young white Chilean beast whimpered, recounting in a quiet voice, sparkling teardrops continuously falling from its large eyes, feeling extremely sad and broken-hearted. Those were all people from endless years ago. Now, there was a veil of mystery around them, all of them previously paramount beings in immoral ancient great era. However, this young beast had the fortune of meeting them before, only, at that time, it had just been born, so there was no way it could understand that many inner details, and there was no way those people would tell it these secrets. There were many others too, all of them heavenly talents from different clans. I've almost forgotten what they looked like. Chahao always felt that things were a bit strange. Since the foreign creatures already defeated all of the creatures in this world, killing countless people, why did they ultimately withdraw? After endless time passed, everything was going to come full circle. Why was this? What had been hidden? Was it that this ancient land was inauspicious, hiding some type of disaster so they couldn't stay here for long term, or was it due to other reasons? This was a question that he really wanted an answer to. Back then, the things I knew were limited, not knowing about the details. There seemed to be some reason, but those great ones always kept it a secret, not willing to talk about it no matter how much they were asked. The white Chilean youth said, "There is no point in looking into old matters. Those people have all returned to the earth, we can only look forward." This place was quite busy, everyone discussing things freely, comparing Dao methods, speculating when the great changes to this world were going to arrive. At the same time, their conversations also touched upon Sacred Academy and Immortal Academy. Ning Chuan was in this mountain range as well, but he didn't come out this entire time, regardless of whether it was when the 9 heavens cultivators and those from the 3,000 provinces were fighting or even before, he had never made an appearance. He actually chose the present world methods. Chahao revealed a look of shock. Shi is also like this. After he went into seclusion, he never made an appearance again. Cao Yusheng said. A while back, there were people who had previously asked Shi about this. At that time, he said that present world methods were the foundation, the source, where the foundation of his Tao was. Since he was born in the present world, how could he not cultivate present world methods? Sacred Academy and Immortal Academy's people will arrive soon. When that time comes, outstanding heroes will be selected to join the 2 academies. Someone brought up this topic, all of them looking forward to it. It was because regardless of whether it was Jin Yi, Lan Meng, Wang Yong, or the others, even though they looked powerful, compared to the people from those two academies, they weren't anything at all. For example, at the peak of the present world methods, those were merely imperfect personal letters passed around in Sacred Academy. The people here were merely following a path those people had already walked. In short, the difference was just too great. The imperfect writings of another, just a portion of the insights and experiences, was already like this, so one could see how frightening the true Sacred Academy was. Everyone who cultivated there were individuals who broke through the limits of the great cultivation realms. If brothership heads for the two academies, you might encounter some troubles. Yuan Qing came from there, knowing quite some people. Chang Gongyang said. News of this had long been released. Yuan Qing was originally quite the astonishing individual in the past, but his performance wasn't enough, and he was ultimately abandoned. Ever since everyone learned of this matter, the two academies' reputation was like thunder that crashed down from the sky, leaving everyone shaken up. The glorious Yuan Qing possessed frightening strength, could now also be considered a great figure. It was rumored that he already had 1 foot in the Supreme Being realm, incomparably terrifying. However, this type of powerful person was abandoned by the two academies. They just couldn't imagine how frightening the people there were. Indeed, I have also heard that even though Yuan Qing separated from there, he knows quite a few people there. If I head there will likely be many unpredictable variables. Shahao frowned. However, if one doesn't enter the two academies, it will be difficult to comprehend the paths they have taken. One's own intelligence and strength will always be limited. Those places have people who researched methods generation after generation, all the most optimal paths for breaking through the limits of the Tao, worth heading to. Cao Yusheng said. Towards immortal ancient methods, Shahao was actually not all that interested, because he had jade scriptures on him, something he acquired from the 3,000 Tao provinces' immortal ancient remains. Only, the present world methods left him feeling a bit helpless. Aside from those two academies, the outside world likely didn't have many scriptures to use as reference, as they were created by those from the present world. Yuan Qing is nothing more than an abandoned disciple, so how much power can he have? Will he be able to affect the cultivators of the two academies? Also, did he come from Sacred Academy, or Immortal Academy? Feng Wu asked. There was a rumor that he was originally a disciple of Sacred Academy, but because he wasn't good enough, he was given up on. However, one of his teachers sent him to Immortal Academy, wishing for him to walk another path to try and make up for this. In the end, he still left Immortal Academy. Right at this time, an elder walked over. The information he spoke of left everyone shocked. This Yuan Qing was not simple after all, actually coming from two academies. The number of people he knew was definitely not few. This is especially the case with Sacred Academy. Forget about that teacher of his, he has a senior brother who already became a great figure, having a respected status in Sacred Academy, at the level of an elder. The elder who arrived said. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but gasp. This was not some good news. Shahao's gaze was deep. He asked this elder for guidance, saying, Are there people from the Wind clan in these two academies? Of course. After endless time had passed, many heaven-warping figures appeared in this world. However, regardless of how the eras changed, how people come and go, long-life families have remained powerful. A few stunning individuals naturally appeared within them, a few old freaks secretly bringing them into the two academies. Heavenly deity institutions, elder said. Shahao's mind sunk. This was not some good news. He felt like the reason why the Wind clan dared to rashly ask Yuan Qing to take action was likely because there were people in the two academies who knew Yuan Qing, still having some connection. He felt hesitation. Should he even enter these two academies? He didn't wish to be targeted by others for no reason. Even though there were exceptional experts, unimaginable old freaks, a place worth heading to, there were some people who were extremely dangerous for him to be around. If they wanted to harm him, it was easy for them to take action. In fact, trouble arrived extremely quickly. After just a few days had passed, someone arrived in Heavenly Deity Institution, wishing to meet with Shahao. During these past few days, Shahao was quite relaxed. After grasping the million symbols, he had spent this time consolidating his learning, preparing for the trip to Realm Tomb, wishing to obtain an immortal seed. When the time came, he could start studying the jade scripture he had on him. However, this very day, someone came looking for him. Shahao, you should try to stay away. That is rumored to precisely be Yuan Qing's heir, wishing to interrogate you. Feng Wu said, her expression grave. This person is coming with bad intentions, you have to be careful. Cao Yusheng also reminded. During these past few days, Shahao had remained in this mountain range. Apart from consolidating his cultivation, they would get together to enjoy divine wine. Shahao's eyes flickered. He knew why the other party was here. It was definitely because Yuan Feng was killed, dying in immortal battlefield, making Yuan Feng furious. Why didn't Yuan Qing personally come? Shahao asked. He likely doesn't dare go too far either. This is Heavenly Deity institution after all. If he dares take action here, he will likely anger the Great Elder, and thus be forcefully suppressed. Chang Gongyang said. Shahao nodded. The Great Elder wasn't a simple character, one of the few powerful beings in the 9 heavens 10 earths. Not even the old freaks in the 2 academies dared to lightly offend him. Where is Shahao? An important person from the Yuan clan wishes for you to go to him. At this time, someone came, his expression a bit strange. Once news got out, a discussion broke out in this mountain region. Many people knew what was happening. Those who had previously suffered at Shahao's hands took delight in his current predicament, waiting for a play to watch. Why do I have to meet him? Forget it. Shahao clearly refused. But this is an emissary Yuan Qing Supreme being sent over. You aren't willing to meet him. The messenger's expression fell. What emissary? I couldn't care less. I don't feel like meeting anyone from the Yuan family. Shahao's face became downcast. He added, I recall, Yuan Qing is only a half supreme being, not breaking through yet. What are you calling him a supreme being for? This wasn't as simple as a direct rejection, but also a type of direct and forceful attitude. He was opposing Yuan Qing, displaying great dissatisfaction. In the surroundings, many cultivators followed the messenger here, wishing to see Shahao's reaction. There were some people who wanted to watch the drama, but now, they were all shocked. Are there some people who are taking joy in this disaster, thinking Yuan family's people will deal with me? Shahao looked around. Those people hurriedly lowered their heads, not daring to anger this monster. Brother Shah, it is Yuan Qing's supreme being's emissary that came after all, so you should just welcome and meet with him. The messenger spoke up again. Welcome and meet. Get lost. Shahao berated. He felt a wave of fury inside, truly angering others too far. Yuan Qing had previously dealt with him, wishing to suppress him for 10 years, afterwards even taking vicious action, deporting him to Origin Ancient Mine, hoping for him to die there, yet he actually sent an emissary here with this type of high attitude. This is no good. A descendant of Yuan Qing's supreme being died, rumored to have something to do with you. You aren't going to explain yourself. The messenger said. Shahao's foot directly kicked out, sending his body smashing heavily into a mountain. Yuan Qing was the first one who took action against me, wishing to cut short my Dao path. Now, he even has the face to send someone to interrogate me. Shahao said with a cold expression. Part 1 end.